On October 22nd, 1959, the BBC aired a television interview with Carl Jung conducted by John Freeman as part of the Face to Face series. During the interview, Freeman asked Jung,
"And did you believe in God?"
Oh, yes.
"Do you now believe in God?"
Now, difficult to answer. I know. I don't need to believe. I know.
This statement sparked considerable debate. Valentine Brooke later sent Jung a critical review of the broadcast by Maurice Richardson, published in the London Observer on October 25, 1959, along with some of the reader correspondence that the statement had provoked. Brooke sought clarification from Jung regarding the precise meaning of his words. Here's Jung's reply.
Dear Sir, the 16th of November, 1959. As you have learned from Mr. Richardson's account, I am an irritating person. I am dealing with doubts and views which puzzle the modern mind consciously as well as unconsciously. I am treading on corns right and left. As a consequence, I have to spend a great amount of my time in handing out apologies and explanations for saying things which allude to facts and ideas unknown to the reader. Moreover, the reader is handicapped by his positivistic premise that the truth is simple and can be expressed by one short sentence. Yet, as Multatuli says, nothing is quite true, and even this is not quite true. A psychologist concerned with the treatment of mental disturbances is constantly reminded of the fallacies in our verbal formulations. In spite of all the difficulties besetting my way, I will try to explain my standpoint. Whatever I perceive from without or within is a representation or image, a psychic entity caused, as I rightly or wrongly assume, by a corresponding real object. But I have to admit that my subjective image is only grosso modo identical with the object. Any portrait painter will agree with this statement, and the physicist will add that what we call colors are really wavelengths. The difference between image and real object shows that the psyche, perceiving an object, alters it by adding or excluding certain details. The image, therefore, is not entirely caused by the object. It is also influenced by certain pre-existent psychic conditions, which we can correct only partially. We cannot remove color perception, for instance. Moreover, we know from experience that all acts of apperception are influenced by pre-existent patterns of perceiving objects. For instance, the premise of causality, particularly obvious in pathological cases, being exaggerations or distortions of so-called normal behavior. They are presuppositions pertaining to the whole of humanity. The history of the human mind offers no end of examples. For instance, folklore, fairy tales, religious symbolism, etc. To explain the spontaneous origin of such parallelisms, the theory of migration is insufficient. I call them archetypes, that is, instinctual forms of mental functioning. They are not inherited ideas, but mentally expressed instincts, forms, and not contents. They influence our image formation. As experience shows, archetypes are equipped with a specific energy without which they could not have causal effects. Thus, when we try to form an image of the fact one calls God, we depend largely upon innate, pre-existent ways of perceiving, all the more so as it is a perception from within unaided by the observation of physical facts, which might lend their visible forms to our God image, though there are plenty cases of the sort. God, therefore, is in the first place a mental image equipped with instinctual luminosity, that is, an emotional value bestowing the characteristic autonomy of the affect on the image. This is my chief statement. Now, people unaccustomed to proper thinking assume that it is a final statement. No scientific statement is final. It is a likely formulation of observation and analysis. It goes as far as a scientific statement can go, but it does not and cannot say what God is. It only can define what He is in our mind. The mind is neither the world in itself, nor does it reproduce its accurate image. But this is exactly the argument of those who assume that when I speak of the God image, I mean that God does not exist, as He is only an image. Our images are, as a rule, of something, and even delusions are images of something, as modern psychology has amply shown. If, for instance, I imagine an animal which does not exist in reality as we know it, I form the picture of a mythological entity following the age-old activity of our ancestors in imagining fairy beasts and doctor animals. I am functioning within the frame of an archetype. I am, in this case, strongly influenced by it. The archetype has efficacy, but although we can be fairly certain that no such animal exists in physical reality, there is nevertheless a real cause which has suggested the creation of the dragon. The dragon image is its expression. The God image is the expression of an underlying experience of something which I cannot attain to by intellectual means, that is, by scientific cognition, unless I commit an unwarrantable transgression. When I say that I don't need to believe in God because I know of the existence of God images in general and in particular. I know it is matter of a universal experience, and insofar as I am no exception, I know that I have such experience also, which I call God. It is the experience of my will over against another, and very often stronger will, crossing my path often with seemingly disastrous results, putting strange ideas into my head and maneuvering my fate sometimes into most undesirable corners, or giving it unexpected favorable twists outside my knowledge and my intention. The strange force against or for my conscious tendencies is well known to me. So I say, I know Him. But why should you call this something God? I would ask. Why not? It has always been called God. An excellent and very suitable name indeed. Who could say in earnest that his fate and life have been the result of his conscious planning alone? Have we a complete picture of the world? Millions of conditions are in reality beyond our control. On innumerable occasions, our lives could have taken an entirely different turn. Individuals who believe they are masters of their fate are, as a rule, the slaves of destiny. A Hitler or Mussolini could believe they were such masterminds. Respis finem, from Latin, consider the consequences of your actions. I know what I want, but I am doubtful and hesitant whether the something that is God is of the same opinion or not. hoping I have succeeded in elucidating the puzzle. Sincerely yours,